This is why it's so important to do the work to build that confidence and that certainty and that conviction in your fucking voice, to build that belief in what you're saying and what you offer and how you are the best at what you fucking do, because that is going to be felt through your visibility content. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I am so excited to have you here, and we are in the last episode of March, which is insane. I am so happy for the women who decided to take advantage of my 30-second birthday sale. That was so fun, and I definitely think I'll be doing that again in upcoming years. And in today's episode, we're going to be diving into building an audience that loves you and wants to pay you right now, because we hear a lot about having resilience. We hear a lot about growing your business. And you even hear me say these things all the time, to not be so hung up on a timeline for when your business is going to take off, but we still want to be intentional about how we are growing our audiences, and we want to create content that does inspire people to pay us now. That is, of course, always the goal, right? So let's get into the episode. So on my broadcast channel on Instagram, it's called Worthy and Wealthy. A couple of weeks ago, I had a question because I always drop in there and post Ask Me Anything question boxes, and I regularly drop in there with answers and musings and what have you. And you can go to Instagram at your coach Jill, and the broadcast channel, like I said, is called Worthy and Wealthy. So this person was asking, how do I tease my offers throughout my content without giving it all away? And this really prompted me to go on a tangent about how you could never give away everything that's inside of your programs. You know, like, it would be impossible for you to encompass an entire coaching container in a post, right? And if it's a course that you're selling or a digital product and you feel like you can give everything away in just one post, then respectfully, maybe you don't have enough content inside of the actual product, which, you know, there was definitely a season in the online space. I remember one of the only things that I've purchased that I was not really that happy with was somebody was selling an email course thing, and it was like $4.97 or something like that. And I purchased it, and there was like basically nothing inside of there. But luckily, I feel like the online space is starting to be a lot more in integrity when it comes to that. But I digress. You cannot give everything away in a post. And I also think that when you show up online and you're giving value, and you know, a lot of people have thoughts about this too, in terms of like, I need to give the value, but I am never thinking I need to give value. I just believe that how I show up, which is no strings attached, I'm showing up, I'm saying things that I want to say, and I'm sharing them on different platforms in the communities that I have. I'm just being generous. And that is the first piece of this, that you have to be generous as fuck with your community if you want to grow a hot audience with people that are ready to pay you now. And it needs to come from a very detached place. If you are only creating content from a place of, I hope this converts, if you're only creating content hoping to get something out of it, then you are going to be asking the question of, why isn't my content converting? Why don't people care about me? And you're also going to feel like you don't have enough to say. And I really feel like this was a shift that I had to make, because as somebody who used to work full time, it really did feel like I couldn't waste any time online. And this was something that I really needed to shift out of, because I was looking at content as a means to an end. I was thinking, what's the perfect thing to say? How do I say this in a way that is going to attract the right clients to me right now? But instead, when I started focusing on just saying the things that I wanted to say and just sharing my ideas and just focusing on that and what I thought and my opinions and what I wanted to teach people with fucking reckless abandon with absolutely no worries about giving too much away or sharing too much or saying too much, that is when my content started converting way more, right? Isn't that always the case? And I don't mean that my value content was converting. I mean, when I showed up to sell, my scales skyrocketed because I was more focused on helping my audience, on helping my community, that when I showed up to sell, they knew, like, she gives us everything. She gives us all of her ideas and her opinions, and what the hell is it going to look like inside of her actual containers? Because especially if you're a coach, right, the appeal of being coach is the personalization. And we obviously have group coaching containers and containers where there's more so curriculum instead of actual coaching, and that is totally fine, but there is still a sense of personalization and refinement and focusing on you and your life, your relationship, your business, whatever it is. And the same thing goes for online service providers as well. Like, if you have a lot of really great content that helps people figure out how to refine their systems and all that stuff, it's not actually going to be the same than if they were to actually come into your retainer or work with you when they get you to work on their own systems and they get to have things focused on themselves and their businesses, etc. So that is my first point, is that be generous as fuck with your audience. You can't be too generous with the content that you're creating and with how you show up for your audience. Even around this question that this person asked me in the Worthy and Wealthy broadcast channel, she was asking me about how to tease your offers in content. But I'm honestly a person who really thinks that you should give everything away, like information about your offers. Obviously, when I'm teasing an offer, it's because I haven't actually launched it yet, so I'm not talking about that. But once an offer is out there, and I also have ADHD and I hate keeping secrets, so I usually don't tease for that long, but once the information is out there, I give all the information. I talk about the investment. I talk about this. I talk about that. And I just truly don't think that you could ever give everything away when you are a kick-ass coach and service provider, because your work goes so much deeper than just your Instagram page. Your work goes so much deeper than just a podcast episode. Like, if you think that I am giving you so much information, so much value and support within this podcast, imagine what it's going to look like when you come to work with me in one of my paid containers. And that's how I always want my audience to feel like, is that they are getting the best of me at all times, because I'm also not attached to somebody paying me. I don't do this as a means to an end, meaning that I do not create free content as a means to an end. Of course it comes to an end. Of course there is a means to an end in terms of like the clients that come to work with me, the large majority of them have consumed free content that I have put out, and it has led them to my offers and working with me. And that's why I'm so unapologetic about how I sell. Like, I remember signing a client to the Fraud Squad Mastermind, and she said when she first listened to one of my podcast episodes, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's like selling to me within the first 30 seconds of the podcast, but she kept listening. And then she ended up investing in my offer. And I just think that this is the whole reason why I just generously and fervently give, because I know that I give so much value and so much information and so much so generously without being attached to the outcome, that when I sell, when I want to fucking sell, I sell. I sell whatever I want at whatever cadence I want, and I don't think about the fact that, oh my God, I did not give enough value, or I didn't provide enough information or personal life things before I can sell, because I run a business and it is my job to sell and make money through this business. So giving value and selling to me, like, I just do those things at whatever cadence I desire. And again, this is something that I really have had to shift into as I was growing the business, because I didn't have a ton of extra time. And I saw every time I showed up as like, is this going to convert? Is this going to work? But when I let that go and I detached from the outcome, and when it came to posting content and giving value, I gave so much more generously, and I dropped all the ideas around when I should or shouldn't sell. And as I was saying before too, I am not attached to somebody paying me. If they want to just consume the free content that I put out until they die, that is totally fine. You can totally do that. I'm happy to support you. And I also promise you that once you come into a fucking paid container and you get that personalization to you and your business, your mind is going to be fucking blown, and you're going to love paying to play. But I'm not attached to it. I love you anyways. And I haven't always been that way. Like, again, I was the person that was really attached to the outcome, that really was attached to like, oh, if somebody's consuming my Instagram stories, if someone's liking my posts, how close are they to working with me? But over the years, I've learned to detach from that. And I've learned that as long as I feel like I can generously give over and over again, I can also sell whatever I want, however I want, and whenever I want. And the people that are supposed to come and work with me will come to work with me. And this is how I want you to feel about your audience too. Hey guys, I hope you're loving today's episode. I am just taking a brief pause in today's episode to share with you a client testimonial. These testimonials are either from group coaching clients or clients who are in my one-to-one coaching program. And I can't wait for you to hear how I have changed their lives and their businesses for the better.
So what I enjoyed about working with Jill and being in her From Imposter to Empowered program was just discovering the depth of like the root cause of why I feel like an imposter and how to overcome it with actual tangible tools, and also being able to journal out and just discover and like dig deeper, which is something that is very important to me as a spiritual leader in this industry. And being able to have a space where that was facilitated and feeling safe and feeling held was amazing. And I am so glad that I had the opportunity to be in this program.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Now let's get back to the episode. And that leads me also into saying that I think it's really important that you are creating content that builds trust with your audience, and that will go hand in hand with being very generous and actually giving a fuck about them. So everything that we just talked about in terms of giving generously and giving often is going to build so much trust. And I also think that speaking with certainty and speaking with confidence, which is something that we're talking about in the Unfiltered Content Mini Mind, which is going amazing, is speaking with confidence, conviction, and certainty. And this is something that's a little bit more vague and something that is more felt than I can really articulate, but obviously I'm going to try because it's a podcast. And so what I mean by speaking with confidence, certainty, and conviction is that you really believe in the things that you're saying as you're saying them. You can tell when somebody is talking on a topic when they're really unsure about themselves and they kind of hesitate around the things that they're saying, and they have all of these exclusions for things and they're trying to over-explain way too much. When you're not grounded in your belief about something that you're talking about, that is why you will see a person who is so confident and so convicted and so in their belief about what they're saying. And that's why they're making thousands of dollars, but you can show up and say the exact same thing. But if you're not convicted or believe in what you're saying, it's just not going to hit as hard. It's not going to work. I talk about this a lot in terms of creating content. Is it's not just about the words on the page, it's about the frequency that you're emitting. And a big part of that is also how you show up visibly, like when you show your face and when you're speaking to camera. I think that there is an uprise in this when it comes to TikTok and when it comes to Reels, and you just build so much trust so much more easily when you can talk to the screen as if you're talking to your best friend or as if you're talking to your best client. And I know that some people have thoughts about being on camera. I know some people really feel and struggle with imposter syndrome, so when they show up and talk to the camera, they feel like they don't look as confident, they don't sound as confident, and this can really deter you from moving forward. Like, I remember when I used to show up on Instagram and it would take me forever to come down from that, because you guys know I have a stuttering disability, and when I would have a rough day with fluency and I went live or I was on a podcast interview or something like that, I would feel like shit afterwards. I would feel so down, and it would prevent me from showing up and like doing the things I need to do to continue to be visible and to sell. It would really wreck my confidence like so much. So your subconscious is very smart. You don't even realize how smart it is, that if you are experiencing imposter syndrome and it's really holding you back from showing up and talking about your offers and talking to the camera, what have you, your subconscious is going to be like, well, we're not going to touch that. Right? It's going to stop you from doing it because it knows that if you were to actually do those things, it would dysregulate your nervous system and you would have to come down from that, and that would ultimately affect how you are moving forward in your business. So you stay in your comfort zone, and this is why it's so important to do the work to overcome imposter syndrome. This is why it's so important to do the work to build that confidence and that certainty and that conviction in your fucking voice, to build that belief in what you're saying and what you offer and how you are the best at what you fucking do, because that is going to be felt through your visibility content. And I know that there were some people, and there are still some people who believe that like you can make a lot of money and not have to show your face. But I really do think that as a coach and as an online service provider, people need to be able to trust you. It's not 2020 anymore when people were just like, hey, I'm home, I want to start an online business, and they're just throwing their cash at somebody who says, I can help you do XYZ. People are a lot more smarter now, and they want to be able to trust whoever they're investing in. So I need you to know that even though it's scary as fuck being visible, like doing speaking reels and showing up on your Instagram stories and doing TikToks and doing Instagram lives, but people need to see you in real time, and it will strengthen that connection with you so much faster. Even if you were so consistent on just uploading photos on your grid for like 3 months, right? Like you can really shorten your timeline by showing up on video. Somebody could hear a podcast, somebody could see an Instagram live, somebody could see a reel where you're teaching them something or talking about your offer and decide to work with you right then and there because of how powerful visibility content can be at building the foundation of trust. And this is why in the beginning it's so important to assess those limiting beliefs. It's so important to assess yourself for the imposter syndrome and the fear that is stopping you from the bare fucking minimum of being visible. If anything, if you're starting your business, if you're trying to reach that 5K a month mark, you need to be visible. You need to be prioritizing your content and visibility strategy, because that is how clients are going to find you. That is how they're going to consume your content, and that is how they're going to decide to work with you. And that's why I grew so fast once I actually started growing, because I was relentlessly visible. In the beginning, I was not. Like, I would be really inconsistent. So from 2018 to 2019, I was super inconsistent in showing up. I wouldn't post a lot of face-to-cam content, etc. But when I actually started taking it seriously, my income grew so fast because I would only focus on my clients. And, in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of them. So I could devote a lot of time to just showing up and being fucking visible. And I'm not going to say that the words that you say don't matter, because they absolutely do. And that's why I have an entire content course, right? And that's why I talk about like what to say and how to say it in the majority of my containers. But visibility needs to be the priority, even if it's messy, even if you don't feel super confident, right? Like, it's more important that you're showing up. It's more important that you're showing up and just saying anything and building that trust with your audience, that you are somebody that they can rely on to show up and share from your heart and share your purpose and share information that is going to be so helpful for them. So to get to your first 5K, you want to be focusing on your mindset and belief and your content and visibility, and the sales and the money. Everything else will follow when you prioritize those two things, because those are the foundations of your business as you head towards 5K months and beyond. And these things are our primary focus inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program, where you will overcome imposter syndrome and be on your way to 5K consistent months. Inside of this program, we focus on the mindset and belief as well as content and visibility, so you can begin signing clients and hitting your first 5K month. And I can't fucking wait to welcome you into this community next week on Monday, April 1st, when the doors officially open. I'll be doing a special welcome workshop on Friday, April 12th, and if you join the waitlist at the link in my show notes, you'll get $222 off your investment and the Empowered and Effortless Sales bundle as a bonus. The doors open on Monday, so get your bum on the wait list at the link in my show notes for those bonuses and for the cash off. And so you can join us for the grand opening and the workshop I'm doing on Friday, April 12th, in addition to our monthly hot seat coaching calls. All right? I love you so much, and I'll see you in April. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to learn how you can work with me, where you can buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and how to get on my email list for free. Screenshot this episode and add it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at YourCoachJill. See you next time.